Hello, this is the Cobra BC260C, which is a brush cutter. It's got a 2-stroke petrol engine there, and this is everything that you get in the box to set it up. So I'm going to take the wrapping off it, and then we'll start to assemble it and show you how to change the heads from a cord to a blade. This is the power unit, which is a 2-stroke 26cc engine, very powerful for driving the heads. And what we need to do, just a little bit of assembly work on that. We've got to fit this handle around it, so we'll do that first and then we can look at putting the heads on. So all we need for this is the smaller of the 2 Allen keys. It's already put together, so we've just got to take this apart and then we can fit it around the handle. So it's just a case of loosening everything off. And once you've got them loose, you can then take them off by hand. The handle fits around this rubber collar, which is there to prevent vibration. And you can see there's a groove in this, which this rubber groove just fits into there like that. So that holds that in place. And then the handle slots on over the top like that. And then we just need to line it up, and we can put the bolts back in and they will tighten down into the small nuts in the lower half. So we just get them all in finger tight to start with, and then I can get the Allen key and just tweak them together. And ideally, don't put one in all the way, just work your way around the 4 bolts, gradually tightening them so that it pushes down nice and evenly. Just give them that final tweak just to tighten them down onto the rubber collar. So now we can look at the other end, because this is where we're going to have the cutting. And we've got a nylon cutter on there, which is this, so it has a nylon cord that goes out and is really effective at cutting grass and some quite tough weeds with that. So that goes on there, but we can swap that if we want and put the solid blade on there, the steel blade. So I'm going to show you how that works. So we're going to have to just turn this over onto its side to do this. So we've got to take that off to be able to put this head onto it. But before that, we've also got to fit the guard, which prevents any grass then flying back up to it. So let's just turn it back over and we can fit the guard. And to do that, what we do using the same small Allen key, what we're going to do is to fit the guard in that position. So we need to take out these 4 bolts and this side bolt there before we can place it in position. So once you've got all the bolts out, and just remember this one's got a little split washer on there, so we just need to keep that to one side. And then what we need to do is to fit this little rubber collar that goes around it, and that is just to prevent vibration and just to give it a little bit of a grip like that. Okay, and then this piece is in there, so we can fit that like that, and it should line up with this hole on the side where we took the small bolt with the spring washer. So I'm just going to put that in finger tight just to locate it at this stage. Okay, so just get that going and finger tight like that. And then what we do is put the top piece back on. So that we've got the 4 holes there which go through to the steel plate below. So just pop that into place, and then again they can be tightened down into the base, so to hold it nice and tight in position. So get the Allen key in there, tighten it down. So the rubber there will stop any vibration and stop it slipping. You just give that a real tweak up with the spring washer like that, and then just finish these off. So now we're ready to put the head on, and as I say, they're very easy to interchange. So to fit this head, what we've got to do is to take off this bolt here, because you can see this end with the steel cup on it spins. So what we need to do is to lock that in position, and there's a little steel pin in the toolbox and a hole here, so we put that into there, and if we just turn it slowly, it will click into place. It drops down into a hole and secures it. We can now turn the bolt, and these bolts are the opposite thread, so it's not the normal clockwise to tighten, anti-clockwise to untighten, it's reverse. It's all to do with the spinning head and to stop it working loose. So spanner on there, it'll just be finger tight to start with, so I'm going to do it in a clockwise direction, which would normally tighten it, but in this case it takes that nut off, and we need to keep that safe because we need that for when we fit the steel blade, and then the cup comes off, and then we can take off this washer there, or spacer. And then for this, it's just simply a case of screwing this into position. So it's going to be screwed in an anti-clockwise direction to tighten it on. And then what we can do, because we've got the pin in here, we can get it nice and tight. So we just give that a tighten like that, and that's it, and it won't spin off then. And obviously to take it off, we take the pin out. When we're using it to take it off, we put the pin back in, locate that little hole to lock it, and then we take it off. Now, if you need to take this head off at any point to inspect or to change the nylon cord in there, we can do that. You'll notice there's some little grooves in it there, and if I turn it round, there's a matching pair the opposite side. What we do is we squeeze those in with our hand, and that allows us just to loosen off the cylinder there with the cord inside it, so we can change it and renew it, and then we just put it back on in exactly the same place, line it up with this dip here, and it clicks into place like that. So that's put that on. So really easy to get off. It's got a button on the base there, so when you're using it, if the cords are a little bit short, if you push that down onto the floor momentarily, it allows a little bit more cord to be released. And if too much comes out, there is a little metal cutter here, so it keeps it at the optimum cutting length for efficiency in the garden. So that's how we do that head. So I'll now tell you how to take that off and put the other one on. Removing it is reverse, so we put the steel pin in there and then turn the head until we feel it click into place. And then it's simply just a case of taking that off. So we're going to take it off in a clockwise direction, the opposite to what you would normally do if you're putting on a nut on a bolt. Just spin that off. And again, then this needs to be put somewhere nice and safe so that you've got it when you need it again. There we go. So we can pop that out of the way. The blade goes on first, and it fits over this little collar here, so that fits onto there. Then we put the spacer washer on, and that will go over the little cog, so that locks that into place. Then it's the cup, goes over the whole lot to protect it. So, and then we're going to put the bolt back on. And remember, we're doing that in an anti-clockwise direction. So don't try and put it on as you would normally, otherwise you're going to be there all day long. To tighten it up, we need to put the pin in again and just wiggle it, and you feel it lock into place like that. And then we can just do that final tight. I'm just going to pop the Allen key through there again so I can get a bit of leverage on it, and nice and tight with that. Take that pin out, and that's now ready to cut. Obviously when we do, we're going to take off this guard. So that's basically how you do it. Really easy to swap from the line cutter to the brushwood blade. The controls are here, really simple to operate. We've got an on-off switch, so we've got to make sure that when we want to start it is in the correct position, and it works so that when you're operating it with your hand around the handlebar and the trigger there, if you want to stop it, you just push that forward. So it needs to be back for starting it. So I'm going to put it on to stop for now. The trigger itself operates only when the top is depressed. So again, it's designed that when your hand goes over it like that, you can then pull in the trigger. Okay, so that's to prevent anything on the ground pushing it up when you're starting it. You've got to put the pressure on from both sides. It's a two-stroke engine, so that needs a petrol and oil mix, and it is supplied with a mixing bottle. So the calibration will be in the manual there, whether it's 50, 25 to 1, whatever. This bottle has all the instructions on there, so follow that, make sure you get the right mix. That is very important for the smooth running of the engine, so that is something you need to keep. And then the petrol tank is just here, and we can put some fuel in. So I've already mixed some up in this jug, so I'm just going to pour this now into it so we can start it up and show you how it runs. That's plenty to get us started, and then always put the cap firmly on like that. At the back of the engine here, near the pull recoil, is the choke, and this obviously needs the choke if you're starting the engine when it's cool, so it's to the top, which closes the choke off. That stops the the airflow going into the engine, gives you a richer mixture. Once you've started it up and the engine's running, then you would push that down into that position. And underneath, it's also got a primer. It's just up here. This is the air filter, which you can take off to clean if you want. We've got the fuel tank here, and there's a little bubble, as you can see, just made from rubber, and that just pushes a little bit of fuel into the carburettor to aid starting. So you'd always do that when starting from cold. This has never been started before, so you can see that that little primer is completely dry. So I need to pump that just 2 or 3 times, or even a few more, just to get the fuel through. And we can see now we've got the fuel mix in there. So it's now ready to start. One more thing just to point out, there is a strap that comes with it, and this is fully adjustable, and this clips on to just here like that, and it just means that you can then adjust this to suit your body size, and you can then put it over your shoulder, and that will take the weight when you're using it and you're cutting grass. So you would be advised to wear that when cutting. So we're ready to start. So we know what we're doing. We're going to put the choke on, so it's in the up position. I'm going to prime it. I'm going to put it so it's on the on switch just there, and then it's a case of pulling the recoil. Now this has never started before, it's brand new engine, so it often takes 2 or 3 pulls just to fire it up. And when it does fire up, what we need to do is turn the choke off and then give it some revs just to get the engine warm initially, and once we've got the revs going, we can then put the strap on and we can start and cut the grass. So let's give it a pull. There you go, that's perfect. It just takes a little bit of warming up. It is a brand new engine, so expect it, to take 30 seconds until it runs at full revs. And now it's warm, of course it won't need the choke, but once it's cooled off, you'll need to use the choke again. Remember also to fit any guards when you finish with it, just to make sure everything is safe, and store it. Don't forget there is a manual with it that's got everything you need to know about the assembly, about how to use it and how to care for it. So please read that before you start and refer to it when you need to. So enjoy your Cobra grass trimmer and happy gardening.
Remember to register your Cobra online at www.cobragarden.co.uk, and always have your Cobra serviced regularly. Check the website for your nearest dealer.